Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Duke It Out Wrestling Podcast, where I, Duke, talk about events from the past, present, or future in the world of professional wrestling. Now, if you can't tell from this, from how the set is still set up and what I'm wearing, I'm pretty sure I've uploaded this podcast before the We Need to Talk About video, but I just finished filming the We Need to Talk About video for this week, which is about Seth Rollins. So, I pretty sure we'll have this podcast posted beforehand, but if it's not, then hopefully you will check that video out as well, because it is a really great time with another great sketch with me and my dad. But anyway, I'm here to dedicate this podcast episode about the Night of Champions pay-per-view coming up this Saturday. Now, I was debating on doing a podcast episode predicting both Night of Champions and Double or Nothing, since they're both on the same weekend, but I figured I would just instead of combining it into one, I'll just do two separate podcasts for those pay-per-views, because if I did a podcast talking about both, this one would probably just be like 2 hours long, and no one's going to listen to me for 2 full hours straight. But I'm going to go through every single match from this 7-match card from Night of Champions. I will give out my predictions of who I think's going to win, and maybe also who I want to win. And I will start it out with the non-title matches, even though it's Night of Champions, and I remember the old gimmick for that pay-per-view was that every title had to be put on the line, but the women's tag team titles aren't on the line on that show. The SmackDown women's title isn't on the line at that show, and neither is the United States title either. So, well, what are you going to do? But, so the first match I'll get into is one of the two non-title matches, which is Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus. Now, I am a little bit shocked that they're doing their first match for this feud at Night of Champions, but it should be a really, really fun match. But it is in Saudi Arabia, and you know how they have to work women's matches sometimes, but there are some amazing women's matches from events in Saudi Arabia, like Bianca Belair versus Bayley. And so I think this still has the potential to be a really, really fun match. I'm not really sure on how this is going to go, because I'm almost positive this feud is going to continue after this match. I don't think this is a one said and done feud, but I think especially if they're going to continue it, Becky Lynch is going to lose via shenanigans from Trish Stratus. I was thinking maybe there's the potential that Lita would come out and either accidentally cost Becky the match, or also turn heel and align with Trish Stratus to attack Becky Lynch. It could be either one of those ways, but I more than likely see Trish Stratus picking up the win here, because I'm not sure how many heel victories I remember predicting for the show, but I feel like this would be the very fun heel victory for this pay-per-view or premium live event. And the second of the two non-title matches that I'll be talking about is the rematch of Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. Now, their match at Backlash got mixed reactions. Some people thought it was really good. Some people thought it was really, really dumb, and the ending was very sudden. I thought the ending was a bit sudden, but it also really worked with the spot that they were doing. But I'm not extremely on board with another match for these two, and I think I definitely would have been more on board with it if Cody had won the titles at WrestleMania and this feud was for the titles. The feud doesn't seem to have as much of a purpose beyond that. While there's Cody saying that, like, yeah, Brock's just jealous that Cody's in more of the spotlight than Brock is, since time has evolved and stuff like that. But I really do think this feud would have had a lot more of a value if it was for the world title. But I'm still really excited for this rematch. They were really wanting to build up that Cody Rhodes' arm is basically destroyed. And at the ending of Raw this past week, Triple H had a backstage segment with Cody Rhodes trying to let him know, like, hey, I got to have you checked out, because if you're not cleared to compete, I'm not going to have you go to Night of Champions. But Cody's like, no, I'm still going to pull through. I'm still going to beat Brock Lesnar. So we'll see what happens there. I know there are a lot of fans speculating on Twitter or other forms of social media that could mean that Triple H is the one that told Brock Lesnar to attack Cody Rhodes, and it's going to be a whole anti-authority thing again of how they didn't want someone who started a business to compete with WWE to then become their world champion. I could potentially see that happening. I don't know if that's the route they're going to go, but I can see it happening. And especially since Cody Rhodes did win their last match, I was thinking that that means Brock's going to be getting his win back. Or if they're wanting to make Cody look extra strong, have him beat Brock a second time while he has one arm, since he already beat Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell with only one pec. So it could be a new tradition for Cody. And next year in 2024, he could be having a match against either Roman Reigns or some other big star with only one leg. We'll see how that goes. But when it comes to the winner of this match, I am going to still lean more towards Cody Rhodes because I think Brock will more than likely take a 2-month break after this feud. He's usually not around this consistently. It's very fun to witness, but I don't think Brock's going to be coming back every week or two for the next couple of months. So I am going to lean more toward Cody Rhodes winning, but I will not be surprised at all if Brock Lesnar takes this win. But for the first of the title matches, which one should I get into first? I'm going to... Oh yeah, what was I saying? The SmackDown Women's Champion is being defended. I was reading that wrong. Just the Women's Tag Team and United States title are not going to be defended at Night of Champions. But I will start it with the SmackDown Women's Championship match between Rhea Ripley and Natalya. Now, this should be a really fun match. Natalya, while she does get a lot of hate from fans on social media, she is a great ring worker. She can always carry a really good match. And while I'm not entirely sure on how above the barriers this match is going to go, I'm sure it's going to be a decent enough time. But also, at the same time, kind of like what the issue was with Rhea Ripley's match with Zelina Vega, there's almost no way that Natalya is going to be beating Rhea Ripley here. If she does, it'd be one of the biggest upsets of the year. And honestly, it wouldn't be that good of a decision from WWE. So I definitely... am going to lean toward Rhea Ripley retaining her title. This is the reign that she is needed to have for a long time to look extra dominant. I'm sure there could be some very convincing moments that Natalya could end up beating Rhea Ripley, but it's a 99% chance that Rhea Ripley is going to win this match for me. And then I'll get into the Raw Women's Championship match, the WrestleMania 39 rematch between Bianca Belair and Asuka. I'm excited enough for this match. The WrestleMania match was really good. Could have been a little bit better, but there was definitely some time constraints and card placements. But I think this is going to be a really solid match. Since Asuka lost at WrestleMania, I don't really see her beating Bianca at Crown Jewel. I could only potentially see it just so they could not have to do the whole switcheroo of the belts between Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. So I could actually see that happening. And since I remember they were wanting to build up a feud with Bianca and Rhea a couple months back, but that's probably going to end up being delayed since they're both for sure on different brands. But it seems like with the draft, that's kind of the draft doesn't really mean anything, or the whole separate brand thing isn't seeming to matter that much over the past few weeks. But maybe am I now gonna pick Asuka? What am I doing? Oh shit. I'm gonna lean more toward Bianca retaining. Since Asuka lost at WrestleMania, I don't see the visual of her being the one to end Bianca's reign. If she was gonna do it, it would have been at WrestleMania. But they could shock me here, but if it does happen, I'm probably not going to have as much of a reaction with it as I usually would for Asuka winning a world title. But I definitely do think that Bianca is going to be retaining. Did have to debate that for a second, but I do think it's going to be Bianca Belair. And next up, I will talk about the Intercontinental Championship match between Gunþi and Mustafa Ali, or Mustafa Ali, however, they've pronounced it 3 or 4 different times over the past 5 years. But I'm honestly really, really excited for this match. While there are brain fart there. But while there are plenty of fans who are very passionate about Mustafa Ali's career and really remember the matches he had on 205 Live, or the matches he had with either Cedric Alexander or Buddy Murphy, are fantastic matches. And also, Mustafa Ali is one of the best sellers in the business, or at least when it comes to WWE, and he's definitely one of the most underrated sellers. He really can make a move look 10 times more painful than it could actually be delivered, and he always pulls off his A game whenever he's in a big match like this. And with an opponent like Gunþi, who is one of the best wrestlers in the world, one of the most intimidating forces in the professional wrestling scene, this could honestly be match of the night. And more than likely is gonna be match of the night. I honestly am really excited to see what they're gonna be doing, and Mustafa Ali has been doing some great promotions for this match on social media. And I think it was a video on Twitter that he made where he said that if he wants to be proud of the person that he looks at in the mirror every day. So if he doesn't win this match at Night of Champions, he is gonna be apparently leaving WWE. Now, I'm not sure of how true this is. There's always been news of Mustafa Ali potentially wanting to leave WWE or could be getting released from WWE over the past few years. There was definitely a stronger phase at one point where he was wanting out of his contract, but I could see it if he does lose, which, let's be real, he's not going to be winning the IC title. It'd be really cool if he did, honestly, to have the first person to beat Gunþi be Mustafa Ali. It'd be very shocking, but it'd be one of those shocking upsets that I would be more than okay with. But there's almost no chance that Gunþi loses at Night of Champions. So I could end up seeing that happening, especially since they were listing Mustafa Ali as a free agent, or they could be building that up an entire story around WWE, and it could be more of a storyline that he's building. I don't know. It could be either or, but it definitely left me more interested for this match, even though regardless, just as a fan of great in-ring pro wrestling, this match is probably one of the biggest choices you could have for the night, or the best choices you could have for the night. It's either this or what I think is going to be the main event is going to be the show stealer for Night of Champions. Now, the second to last match that I'll be getting into is for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defending against Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. Now, I was wondering why they were doing this match instead of Roman having another world title match, because I figured they were sponsoring the Night of Champions event so Roman could win a match to then get his reign to 1,000 days. But it seems like we're just going to be getting it with this tag team title match. But I'm excited for it, but I think a lot of people can admit that this whole bloodline, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens stuff has gotten a bit repetitive. We definitely need some more stuff with the more newer stuff with the bloodline. We need newer stuff with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. So the fact that we're getting just another bloodline match with Owens and Zayn, it's not the most exciting, but at least they pulled off a little bit of a twist here, having it be Roman Reigns and Solo instead of the Usos. And they've been trying to build up the fact that Roman Reigns is definitely intimidated by Solo Sikoa more than anyone else in the bloodline, and that he's getting further and further sick of Jimmy and Jey Uso. So that could lead to the Usos potentially either unintentionally costing Roman and Solo the match or intentionally costing Roman and Solo the match. They could do that in so many different ways. They could either do it because they were sick of Roman just treating him like shit, or they could do it because they could have been jealous of the fact that they were the longest reigning tag team champions in history and KO and Sammy beat them, but Roman and Solo were able to get the job done, and they wouldn't want that to happen. They could do that in so many different avenues, and that portion of the story is very exciting. And when it comes to the winner, it does make it a little bit more unpredictable. I could see KO and Sammy winning so they can finally develop a new feud like they kind of been trying to do with Imperium on Raw. But I could also see Roman and Solo taking the tag team titles because Roman Reigns always wants to hold more gold. So it could be either or, but I'm going to slightly lean toward Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn retaining the titles, especially because I think the Usos are going to be involved in some way. And if the Usos are going to be involved, I feel like it's going to be them costing Roman and Solo as opposed to them costing KO and Sammy. Should be a fun enough match. Should have great ring work with the competitors that are in this match. But I definitely could be more excited for this. But with how repetitive the story has been over the past few months, I definitely am not as excited for this as I was for Roman and Sammy back in February. And now we're going to get to the main event for the inaugural new WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. Now, I am super excited for this match just from an in-ring perspective. It's Seth Rollins and AJ Styles. I can't remember how many matches we've seen from them on TV in WWE, but their match at Money in the Bank was one of my favorite pay-per-view matches from that year. So I am definitely excited for any other type of creative spots they could do. They could even repeat their curb stomp into a Styles Clash spot, and it would get a huge reaction just because that spot is amazing. But I'm really excited for what kind of spots they could think of for their back and forth chemistry. I'm really excited for all the near falls or any crazy shit that Styles or Rollins have up their sleeve. And it should just be a workhorse match for the workhorse belt. Seth Rollins and AJ Styles are two of the best opponents you could have picked for this match. And when it comes to who's winning, it is pretty unpredictable, and I was talking about this in my We Need to Talk About video, so if I upload this a bit before my We Need to Talk About video, maybe a bit of spoilers for that video, but I do think Seth Rollins is gonna end up winning. I know I remember throughout the week, I was starting to believe even less that Seth was gonna win because there were the pictures revealed of him on the set of Captain America New World Order, and they were afraid that could delay Rollins' schedule, and he might have to miss a couple of house shows. And since this New World title is mainly involved with the workhorse belt, and this one's going to be around every week for all shows, maybe Seth isn't the person to give it to right now, and AJ Styles is always a great person to give a world title to. So, or not person, wrestler, but I do think they could always work around it. It seems like Seth Rollins isn't the most extreme of roles where they're going to need him every single day. So I think they're going to be able to work their way around it. And with how it was built up, it just seems like it was built for Seth to win. Now, WWE always likes to swerve us on some occasions, so it could end up with Styles winning. But I am going to more so lean towards Seth Rollins. A lot of people said right off the bat when this belt was announced that Seth was the perfect candidate to become the first new world champion. And I think he is the perfect candidate for it. And also, and anyone who I would pick as a number 2 or number 3, AJ Styles would be immediately brought up. So regardless of who wins this match, we're going to be having a great WWE World Heavyweight Champion. So those are my predictions for Night of Champions and this episode of the Duke It Out Wrestling Podcast. And please let me know any of your predictions for Night of Champions in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and duke out your opinions below in the comments.